Okay, Dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is yet another free L Selector video and who you should pick for your best progress in the game at this point in time. So before we start, just make sure that you do not pick these two heroes. Coset is free from the event. Okay, any beginner player or any new player will definitely get a Coset from the 10 Coset shards they have given for free. You should have gotten it by yesterday if you've been playing all the carnival and getting all the carnival coins and completing the quest. Okay, and if you actually invested in that package that they gave, I think that is a really insane deal because you immediately get a level 60 Coset on the first day you play this game if you start today. So that is incredibly insane. I mean, people like me, people like many other players took about 4 months, okay, 4 months to 5 months to even, I think even more at this point, yeah, to even get a level 60 Coset. So that is a huge deal if you have just a little spare cash to spend, okay, for the Coset. Shane is technically free because anyone should be able to get to 2 million CP at this point very easily, okay, so you don't have to stress about not having a Shane because you should be getting her maybe within even a week worth of play, okay, so don't worry about Shane. Next up, I need to tell you guys to prioritize heroes that you don't have. The reason for this is because of your codex buff. I know many of you may be tempted to pick the same hero to level them up to make them even stronger so that your progress in PvP or PvE will be better, but honestly, picking heroes that you don't have will expand your codex buff and that will actually push your progress even more than just focusing on one hero, okay? So obviously the first pick that everyone should prioritize is Teo. And if you already have all the other L plus in the ticket selector, you can go for 3 Teos. Teo is one of the most long-lasting heroes in the game, and they deliberately made him so because he is Teo after all. And in Korea server, he is used in so many variety of comps, even speed comps, sometimes even universal comps, which we don't really see in global server unfortunately, but yes, they do have that kind of comp over there, and even CC comps, okay, debuff comps. And he has a very unique ultimate skill that is very difficult to replace, right? So he is definitely an asset to have, and for those of you who do not have Teo, I think this is a great time to pick him. And in fact, with Maze having come out for about 1 to 2 months already, Teo has seen a lot of use in Maze as well because again of his ultimate skill, it's just incredibly valuable, and also his skills just make Maze a much easier mode to play in, okay? After consulting one of my guildmates, we feel that Rudy Plus is actually the second best choice, okay, not just for older players but for newer players as well. For newer players, he's definitely going to straight up benefit you immediately in your content, and his remake and EE have boosted him. Even in PvP right now, he is still used despite all the talk that tank teams are going to be melted away by Ace, but unfortunately Ace is also compatible with the tank team, so Rudy Plus is definitely here to stay. And if you're using him in PvE, even better for you because he will be your suppressor for your variant raid. But I'm guessing T16 could come out within the next 2 months. And not only that, in Maze he is also a great unit to have because of his ultimate skill, which gives you an unremovable shield and also links your allies, okay? The third pick is actually Rin. Now, before recording this video, she was actually my second pick, okay, my second best pick. But considering that Myth Ace is out, Myth Ace actually kind of cucks her stealth and makes her a little, okay, less efficient, and she could very easily get, you know, hit by Myth Ace. That is the biggest problem we have with her right now, but I'm not saying that she's bad, okay, it's just that she has a check right now in the PvP meta, okay, but nonetheless, she is an amazing hero as well. She has a blind which really prevents a lot of damage from being done by the enemy. She also has a very strong ultimate skill that is supposed to melt the tank teams, and she still does that very well, especially I believe in lower tier. when where your enemies may not be geared as well, Rin has no problem melting those teams at all. Even in higher tier, I still do face some Rins that melt my team. I'm using a tank team. Melt my team very easily, okay? And in PvE, again, she is great for Maze as a damage dealer, thanks to her ultimate as well. And I mean, she is Rin after all, okay? So if you do not have Rin, get her. If you're trying to push her to level 60, I think she is not a bad pick, but I think you should prioritize Teo as well. Okay, so these are some choices you can play around with. So the next two heroes that are tied, okay, for me and my guildmate are Karma and Ming. So these two heroes are known for their amazing control in PvP. You have Karma, who controls via skill cooldown increase, and you have Ming, who controls via ultimate skill gauge decrease. Okay, so for Karma, we all thought that he would fall off the meta because Myth Ace is just way too strong, and again, apparently that's not the case. He is still in the meta, he is still in the top tiers, he is still used in that very annoying tank team. Tank teams have not disappeared, okay? Tank teams have not disappeared. So he is definitely still a very strong hero that you can choose. He is also great in Maze for control, for his skill cooldown increase, okay? But definitely not much PvP usage beyond Maze. So that's something you want to consider, and he has definite usage in Guild Wars and Tag Match. He has lasted for a very long time, and I'm sure many of you have been, hearing that Clemith is potentially gonna shut him down. Of course, things are gonna change, okay? We are not too sure where Clemith really stands right now in the meta. I mean, she still has her users for sure, but you also have a very strong counter available in the meta right now that could potentially just wipe Clemith very quickly. So it really depends on what happens when she comes out and how the meta is going to move, okay, alongside where we still have tank teams and burst teams competing for what's the best. And then we have Ming. So for Ming, thanks to her remake and EE, she is definitely still one of the best PvP units right now. And many people are using her for the ultimate skill gauge control over Ace, because as you know, if Ace doesn't transform, he loses a lot of his utility, right? So Ming actually provides a great check against Myth Ace, and her charm right now is also amazing. Imagine charming the enemy Ace will kill off their own team. Okay, I've come across that before and it's not fun at all. Okay, so yeah, Ming is definitely one of the great picks as well from the selector. And just a little side information, she was really too OP in Korea that they actually had to nerf her, right? Okay, so that they actually had, she was actually too OP in Korea server that they actually had to nerf her. Yeah, and hopefully we don't get to that in global server, because if they do plan out the meta somehow and Ming doesn't last that long, I don't see a reason why she will need to be nerfed, right? So it really depends. And again, however, beyond PvP, Ming is not really used outside of PvP. PvE, not much. Okay, she's only sometimes used in Maze, but I don't really see her in the main teams used for Maze. She is a DPS hero, so she will give you good codex buff. The sixth hero is Jave. Now, Jave is kind of at a very tricky spot right now. Ever since Rudy Plus got remade, no one is using Jave at all. I'm pretty sure he's used in the lower tiers, but honestly, as you want to climb higher, you are going to phase out your own Jave. Okay, and based on what is going on in Korea server as well, there is no signs of him getting a remake, and most likely he will not be coming back. He is kind of used in Guild Wars as a third team, okay, with Rudy, Legend Rudy as well, and also in Tag Match. So yeah, picking him is only for codex buff, I guess, right now, because he definitely doesn't have much usage, even in PvE. The next two guys are Ace and Evan. Okay, so as we know, Ace is being replaced by himself, his better self. So I think it doesn't make sense to pick Ace unless you don't have him. You probably should be pulling from Myth Ace already, right? But that is not to say that he's completely useless. Okay, he can still be used in your tag matches, your guild wars as secondary teams. That's completely fine when your Myth Ace is used in another team. Okay, and if you do not have Myth Ace, he is still amazing for your maze. Okay, so far he has been in every single team since week 1 for maze. Yeah, that's how good he is. And I think he will still have a time there because of his EE, which gives him loopable invincibility. And I think that itself is definitely sufficient to give him a permanent spot in maze until you build out your Myth Ace so well that your Myth Ace can do his own self-sustenance. Then I think you can phase out. For Evan himself, he is really used in PvE as a damage dealer right now, definitely not seen in PvP anymore. If you really want to climb a little higher, I don't think Evan is the right hero anymore currently in PvP. Okay, he is used in dungeons, raids and guild raid because of his single target, and it does huge damage, especially after the way they recoded his skill priorities. His damage output is just so much better, and his utility and his efficiency as a damage dealer is just so good in PvE. Unfortunately, in future they will be releasing another L plus Evan before Season 3 or during Season 3, and that Evan is going to be a better version of this Evan as well. Okay, because that Evan can seal passives. That's going to be amazing for maze. Okay, and not only that, he is a DPS unit, so he'll pair very well with other DPS units compared to this Evan, who is a universal unit. The next two are free heroes given to you for free after you hit a certain account combat power. The first is Kris. Kris is free at 3 million, which I think is also very attainable right now in the game. Probably 2 weeks to 3 weeks of play. Okay, or even 4 weeks, 1 month. I still think that's a really short period compared to how when we started, Kris was like, oh, so far. But the thing is, there's no reason to really pick Kris because the death meta is just not there anymore. Even for guild wars and tag match, I think death teams are not the most reliable at all because it's still a chance based thing. There's no 100%, and you really have to build out your divinities for death accuracy. Okay, in order to try to let him work better. And even with Wall Yong, remember we said that maybe Death Teams will come back, but not really. Okay, and there are just so many better options of teams now that Death is not used as much. But I see Death as still effective in lower tiers, okay, because of people not having enough resistance, not having enough gears. Okay, Death can still proc really easily. The next one is Yuri, who recently got her EE as well, and you have probably seen her in PvP again. Okay, she is definitely back in the PvP meta and used by some of the top players as well. But the reason why I put her so low is because of the fact that she is free. And if you are a player that has been playing for an entire year since the start, you probably would have already gotten her. But for newer players, I don't see a reason why you will pick her over someone like Rain or Teo. Furthermore, she does need her EE right now to really make her more efficient in PvP. So with that said, I don't think she is one of the best picks. And finally, we do have the saddest L plus in the history of L plus. Velda. He has no remix since day 1 launch. He has no usage in PvP because he was replaced by Ace, and I don't even want to talk about Myth Ace. He has no usage in PvE as well, other than the Catastrophe Raid, where he could potentially just pull your enemies, but you don't need that. Or your gold dungeon, but you also don't need that. Okay? So please don't pick him if you don't have others. Basically, this is the summary that I came up with. Okay, so there's PvE best choices, PvP best choices, free account CP heroes, and pick only if you don't have them. Of course, PvP and PvE and the top 3 heroes that I talked about are extremely good in both modes. Okay, Evan good for PvE, Karma and Ming good for PvP most of the time. I think Yuri is a special case that kind of crosses between PvP best choice and pick only if you lag. So she kind of crosses across these 3 categories. So ultimately I would say don't really pick her if you are not ready to build her out. Okay, especially since she needs her EE that's gonna take you another 20 days, okay, for a newer player. So definitely not the best choice. Okay, so if you guys have any thoughts about this evaluation, leave them in the comments below. And of course, if you found this video helpful, do give it a like. Big shout out to my channel members Chilling, Jude, Gonzalo, Nick, Yamaki, Kevin, Harlan and JDM for the support. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you.